G'day Internet, this is Craig and I'd like to welcome you to my PC gaming life. Recently I've been really enjoying one of the more unique and original games I've played in recent memory, 11-Bit Studios' This War of Mine. Inspired by the 1425-day siege of Sarajevo, it's a game which takes a look at the lives of civilians doing their best to survive a war. So here's the ruined house where our survivors have taken refuge. And here are the survivors themselves. Pavel on the left was a professional football player, and he's fairly fleet of foot. Bruno was a celebrity chef, so he can cook well. Marco on the right was a firefighter, and is now a bit of an expert scavenger. You can read the character bios for a bit more of their backstory. So there's no tutorial or anything, you just jump straight into this one, but that's fine as it's very easy to play. Left click to walk somewhere, left click an icon to do the action, in this case I'm searching through rubble, which you'll do a lot of, and you can double left click or right click to run. You can left click on the character photos to change between characters, or you can just tab through them. Initially our refuge is a bit of a mess, so the guys are going through the rubble to recover what they can. All of this stuff has different uses. One place where a lot of stuff will be used is our small workshop. Here you can see some of the different things that you can craft and what you need to do so. Fairly important early game is the metal workshop, which allows us to build a lot of tools. So we simply select it, decide where we want to put it, and then get to work. So it's a little bit later in the day now, and the place is starting to look a little bit better. Although we still don't have any basic furniture. But I'll get a radio set up because it's important for our survivors to know what's happening out there in the city. The placement of things can sometimes be a bit restrictive. And with that, we'll hit 8 o'clock and night will fall. Now we can brave the city streets to do some scavenging, which is the other half of the game. From this screen, we can decide which location we want to try scavenging in. On the right, we'll get a bit of an indication about what to expect in the different locations. Many more locations will open up as the game continues, although sometimes locations will be inaccessible due to fighting or weather. It's worth noting that these can change a bit between games. On the left, we can choose who we want to send scavenging, who will have guard duty, and who gets to try sleep. Marco is going to be my main scavenger as he has the best backpack capacity of the three. I'm going to let Pavel sleep tonight as he's a bit sick. Not that I have any beds yet. On the next screen we can equip our scavenger with any tools, weapons and trade goods we think he might need. But this of course takes up space in our pack, which means we can bring less back. So here we are. Gameplay while scavenging is essentially the same. Click on the icon to search and then grab the stuff. You do have to be a little bit careful out here though, so you can peek through keyholes in the doors to check what's on the other side. You'll find that your line of sight and your vision are fairly important as you sneak through buildings. You also need to be conscious of how much noise you're making. Running around and breaking things can tend to make a lot of noise and draw unwanted attention. Magnifying glass icons allow us to get a bit of the story of the city, the war, and the people who endure it. Naturally enough, none of this is particularly cheering. So we've just been noticed by another person. Sometimes these people will be hostile, sometimes they'll be relatively indifferent, and sometimes they'll need help. Here we have a chance to trade with this poor guy. Unfortunately, we don't have any food to help him out with, and honestly, I'm not sure we could spare it even if we did. Finally, when we're ready to leave, we'll click the exit icon to head home. It's important that we do this before sunrise, as it's much more dangerous travelling the city during the day. And so begins our next day. We'll get a report on how the night went. Luckily, our first night was quiet. Often we won't be so lucky, and we'll return home to find that we've had to fight off raiders. During the day we'll continue making our home more secure and comfortable. We can also get the occasional visitor. Here's Franco the trader, who gives us the chance to pick up a few things we need. At a hefty price, of course. Sometimes there'll be people in need of help, and it's important to remember that our survivors are just regular, decent people. Doing the wrong thing by others can sit fairly heavily on their consciences. But you're also trying to survive a war, and eventually you will get desperate. As I mentioned earlier, the radio is an important source of information for our survivors. As the game goes along, you'll get the chance to take others in. Marin here certainly sounds like a useful guy to have around, although he will be another mouth to feed. Sometimes visitors will give you a tough decision to make. See, the thing here is that I happen to know that my neighbour did indeed take some supplies. I know this because, well, I was helping him. So I should really do the right thing by him, shouldn't I? But man, that food would be handy. And those cigarettes would be great for trading. We really need to eat. Desperation and despair are fairly strong themes of the game. As time goes on and the safer locations have been cleared out, you'll need to push your luck despite the dangers you know to be out there. Here I'm exploring a construction site which is rumoured to be a bit dangerous, but it's been a great haul so far, so I'll just keep exploring, see what else there is here. But things can change quickly. I have no idea who shot that guy, but this is not good. And so our story takes a very tragic turn. Now, make no mistake, this world is filled with some very disturbed and dangerous people. But in a way that's okay. Because as the seasons change, life will only get harder. And your survivors will become more and more desperate. They'll do things that make them question the lengths they'll go to in order to survive. Sometimes it's nice to have a victim you don't need to feel that badly about. Although you know your survivors inevitably will. I really think this War of Mine is a beautiful game of a tragic story. The black and white pencil sketch art style fits the tone and the subject perfectly. The story is a bleak one, with only the occasional small sparks of hope, and the emotional pain these characters feel can really affect you and the way you play. Successfully playing through the whole war took me about 8 hours on my third attempt, and I think I'll be coming back to this one many more times in the future. It's been the first game in a long while that could really suck me into a 3 or 4 hour gaming session without me really realising it. I can't recommend this one enough. Until next time folks, stay safe wherever you are.